Welcome to this brief introduction to the Accountant in Business paper. Some of you may have known this as paper F1. ACCA has been renaming papers, but the change in name has not produced any particular changes in the syllabus content. It's simply they now tend to go by their initials, so this is paper AB rather than F1. It is a paper with a syllabus which is very, very wide, fairly shallow but very, very wide. There's a very large number of names to remember in it, names of basically management theorists, people who've had a go at trying to define the different sorts of motivation or defining what perhaps affects the corporate culture, the feel of an organization. And so people who try to break down different forms of learning within organizations and so on. This is a very kind of fruitful area for a lot of academic papers being written and a lot of books being published. And most books have a kind of catchy title, which is the name of the theory of the person writing it. To some extent, there's an element of marketing within that. There's no particularly easy way for you to deal with this. You have to get down really and learn the syllabus. And the syllabus, as I say, is very long here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 pages really of A4 detailing what the syllabus is. And the hope of the paper is to give you a very good kind of foundation, almost a general knowledge across a lot of the terminology and vocabulary of business, so that you kind of know what people are talking about really. So within business organizations, and this is only a tiny little example from each one of the main syllabus headings here, you need to know what a stakeholder is. Basically, it's anyone who is affected by the organization. So it's the owners, it's the employees, it's the customers, it's the people in the local area who may be affected by traffic going in and out of the factory and so on. Those are stakeholders. The external environment is going to affect organizations, so political changes, economic changes, technological changes will come in, and no business can really prevail against these macro environmental influences, and they have to be humble enough perhaps to change. Business organizational structure. How many layers should we have between the chief executive officer at the top and the people just joining the company below? It used to be many, many layers of, the board, senior managers, assistant managers, senior supervisors, assistant supervisors, and then the people at the bottom, which in traditional industries probably worked quite well. But now that industries are changing very rapidly, you need very good communication between the people at the bottom, fresh from college, fresh with new ideas, and people at the top who need to be informed perhaps by these younger but more up-to-date individuals. And so there's been a move, if you like, from what was called a tall, narrow structure to the wide, flat structure, many fewer layers, and hopefully better communication up and down. There is culture, the feeling of an organization when you go in. Does it feel very formal? Is it less formal? Is it friendlier? Does your boss tell you what to do? Or is your boss going to say, here's a problem, what do you think we should do? This all gives people the idea of how things are done around there as one of the kind of definitions of corporate culture. And we're always very sensitive to this whenever we join a new employer, a new school, a new college and so on. We tend to go easy to see how everybody else gets on to make sure that we can fit in. Accounting and reporting systems looks at the various functions within the overall accounting system. What does the sales department do? What does the purchasing department do? Inventory, manufacturing, and so on. And there, a whole accounting system tends to be broken down into different specialist functions and so on. And you need just an idea of maybe the kind of documents that you typically see in each of these departments. Leading and managing individuals. Basically here what we want to do is we want to get the right people, we want to employ the right people. We have to motivate those people, in other words, to get them working really enthusiastically there. We may have to give them feedback. We may have to identify performance gaps. Here's what you should be competent at. Here's what you are competent at. There's a bit of a gap here. How are we going to bridge that gap? What sort of learning and development do we need to give to you to try to improve your performance? Personal effectiveness and communication. So it will break down communication, different forms of communication, different steps in the communication process. It involves also looking at time management. That's part of personal effectiveness. It perhaps looks at setting plotting your own kind of a course through an organization. Your career path really is what it's kind of trying to get you to look at, and to, rather than just being kind of buffeted by randomness, try and actually see where you want to go and plan how you're going to get there. Very, very important, professional ethics. Accountants are professionals, and professionals have ethics. In other words, recognized ways of behaving, and which in a way gives those accountants their value. What is the point of having an accountant if the accountant is dishonest? Or if the accountant is frightened to say something, that the company is going to go into liquidation, is going to fail in a few weeks, but the accountant doesn't see it. Perhaps maybe they're incompetent, or doesn't have the courage to say that the company is in some jeopardy. What is the point in paying that accountant, that professional, a good salary? So if you're going to command good salaries, you need to be professionally competent, you need to have a professional demeanor, you have to be independent, you have to stand up for what you believe is right, because if you don't do those things, you have lost all claims to being a professional, and you've lost all claims to being paid a decent wage. The exam format. The exam format, it is all objective test questions. It comprises of 32 mark questions. They would typically be choosing one from 4. And then 16 1-mark questions, for example, choosing the right answer from 3, slightly easier. And then in section B, they have what they call 6 4-mark multitask questions. Don't get too worried about that. The multitask questions tend to be 2 2-mark questions, making up the 4 marks. And really what it is saying is you've got 2 questions kind of asking about the same sort of area. But they're quite independent. So you can get one of the questions wrong, and that should not alter your chances of getting the other part of this multitask question correct. Now, because this might be the first paper you are dealing with in ACCA, I thought it would be worthwhile here just to introduce to you the ACCA website. One of the most interesting areas, most useful areas you will find is study support resources. So we're going to be choosing here the different levels, obviously here, depending on what you're doing. We are on the ACCA qualification. We're in the accountant and business one. Here you click on that. And this will take you to some specialist resources dealing with the accountant and business. So you can here see the syllabus and study guide. You can download that in detail. Very interesting evidence, or the examining team guidance which we have in here. For example, the examiner's reports will be there. There may be videos in there from the examining team saying how you should study and so on. Down here we've got math modules and so on. But very interesting is worth all of these resources here: specimen exams, practice tests, technical articles, maybe on corporate culture, maybe on motivations, on a whole library of articles you can read, which will help your study and give you another way of seeing elements. Let's just look at the specimen exams here, just to show you what's going to be shown within the specialist exam. It'll take you through a window like this. And it has basically here got 3 specimen exams, full exam, and then you've got some additional or extra multiple task questions there. And if we go on this one here, and then we're going to be looking at this one here. So here's your breakdown, 46 marks and 24 marks, 6 questions, each worth 4 marks here. And you can start that, go again. You have to go through a little bit and start the exam. And here we have, this would be a 1-mark question basically. So it says up here, 1 mark, etc., etc. Which 2 words complete this sentence? Here, maybe on the top here. The major purpose of the International Standards Board is to ensure consistency in external auditing, corporate reporting, financial control. So you'll choose whichever one you think it is. Perhaps that one you think. And I think it's said yes. Glad of that. Here. So you can go to this here. You can jump to questions. We can go to part B here. We can go to them here. So here's the background. Here are 4 references to the functions of management. Select the correct reference for each writer here. So we've got it in here. We'd have to pair these up. And by a drop-down menu here, it's showing you or giving you a choice of what you're going to be doing in here. So that's basically that. And then task 2, from the list below, identify 2 of Henri Fayol's functions of management. It's still to do with functions of management. Fayol hasn't appeared up here, but he's another writer here to do with management. So these are all to do with so-called functions of management, but you've got 2 questions for those in this multitask example. The next one here, installed a computer system to handle its main accounting functions, including accounts receivable, accounts payable, and payroll. Management of a number of concerned about access to the system, in other words, kind of control problems potentially in here, considering a number of controls to overcome these concerned. And controls, you will learn when you read this bit of the syllabus, are divided into 2 families in computers: general controls and application controls here. General controls is kind of the environment in which the computer is sitting. Application controls are specifically to do with maybe how do we, get a password to put in somebody's overtime and so on. So that's to do with IT. And then here we've got something else to do with internal controls as well. They, broadly speaking, to my mind, although the ACCA may protest, quite often task 1 and task 2 have fairly little relationship with each other. And they're essentially like just having some more kind of multiple choice type questions or objective test type questions. Don't worry about them too much. But it's very important that you practice these exams. As well as practicing the exams you can get on the ACCA website, you can buy books, practice and revision kits from Kaplan and BPP. And they present you with lots and lots and lots of questions for you just to try out on paper, this is. If you are trying them out, I would suggest that you don't tick the answers on the books. Put your answers on a separate sheet of paper. That way you keep the book clean And you can go back to those questions later and retry them again and again and again without there being any hint or clue as to what you put down the first time through.